Hey friends, I'm Stacy and this is Gorgeously Aging. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Skin School. For those of you brand new, I am a 53-year-old master and medical esthetician, and I am passionate about all things skincare, makeup, beauty, health and fitness over 50, and my specialty being facial rejuvenation and safety-focused DIY facial treatments. You can find those free educational tutorials at rumble.com/gorgeouslyaging. So you guys, today we are talking about the difference between hydration versus moisturization. And I know that sounds very simple and very basic, but you'd be surprised how many times people ask me about this. And it's an important thing to discuss and to really have a good understanding of, especially if you're over 40. So hydration replenishes the skin's water content and with a more liquid-based product. So think your toners, your essences, and your facial sprays. And I'm going to talk about some of my favorite affordable, both hydrators and moisturizers a little bit later in this video. Moisturizers form a protective barrier on the surface of the skin to trap water content and keep the skin moisturized. So those would include things like creams and thicker occlusive products. So simply said, hydration adds water to the skin and moisturizers trap it in. So examples of hydration ingredients would be like water, glycerin, beta-glucan, hyaluronic acid, aloe vera, just to name a few. And these are all great in your thinner products like your essences, toners, and facial sprays. You'll also find those in thicker creams, but generally it's more of an emollient formula. So I've known people that have had really dry skin and they slather on their heavy occlusives and moisturizers without really focusing on the skin hydration first. I know I find as I've gotten older that that's such a key step in keeping my skin looking hydrated and plump and helping to minimize that texture on the skin and those fine lines and wrinkles. So your thinner products like essences are something not to overlook. Some people think of them as a really unnecessary step when really they're quite necessary, especially as we get older. So another thing that we can use to boost the hydration in our skin is going to be like a sheet mask. So sheet masks are so important, and there's something that I utilize at least 3 times a week, especially on special occasions. If I'm going to be going out, I love to use a good sheet mask. So I'm going to share a few products that I think are affordable, absolutely fantastic, and really help with both the hydration and moisturization of all skin, but especially aging skin. So let's just get to my first slide here. I'll talk about this product. I have repurchased this at least 6 times. This is the Belief. This is the Aqua Bomb Hydrating Toner. This is a Korean product. I love Korean skincare because they are so far ahead of the United States in terms of skincare and facial rejuvenation. Belief is a good product line and a brand, and I love so many of the Belief products, but this is definitely one to try if you haven't already tried it. So it is a liquidy formula. You can put it on a cotton round or cotton pad. What I like to do is just put some in my hand and then pat it into my face, neck, and I even put some on my arms just because that extra hydration is so important before you go on with the rest of your serums and skincare routine. So this is one I typically use it in the morning, but I often will use it at night as well. So if you can only use it once a day, use it in the morning, but if you can do morning and evening, you would let it dry in, settle into the skin before moving on with the rest of your evening skincare routine like your tretinoin. So next is a product that I'm recently introduced to, and this is Laneige. This Laneige is called the Cream Skin. It's a spray. It's a ceramide peptide mist. It comes out in a beautiful mist. It gives your skin some beautiful hydration. This is the small size. I travel with this. I keep it in my purse. I use this all the time. This will help boost the hydration in your skin. It feels amazing, and this actually can be used after makeup. If your makeup is looking a little heavy or if it's looking a little powdery, a little mist of this will make it look incredible. So I love that for adding extra hydration and moisture into the skin. And there you see, I use those terms interchangeably. This would be more the hydration part of it because it is a liquid formula. Another product that I absolutely love, like I said, I've been using sheet masks about 3 times a week, sometimes more, but especially if I have something special going on, using a sheet mask for 10 to 20 minutes is such a great way to plump up the skin, to make the texture of the skin look nicer, and to boost that hydration before you move on with your creams. This is the Numbuzin NAD Plus Bio Lifting Full Face Mask. I forgot my slide here, but this is fantastic. It's not overly expensive. You get them in a pack, and I always keep these on hand. It's just a really great sheet mask. This is a Korean brand. So again, great ingredients, really good at boosting hydration in the skin. This is one I don't think anybody would be disappointed in. And in fact, I think all of these products, with the exception of the really emollient ones at the end, are good for all skin types. Oilier skin may have a harder time with really heavy occlusive oils or deeply, deeply hydrating heavy masks. So let's move on to this. Might be my favorite moisturizer of all time. I've tried so many super expensive, over $100 creams. And this is the COSRX Hyaluronic Acid Intensive Cream. This is a beautiful cream for moisturizing the skin. This is something that I buy over and over again. And like I said, I have tried so many expensive brands and nothing for me really compares to this. I encourage anybody to try this, even if your skin is combination or slightly oily. Just don't use a lot of it, or maybe just use it a couple times a week. But for me, being over 50 and having dry skin and being postmenopausal, this product is fantastic on face, neck, chest, hands. I absolutely love it. It's really cost effective. Definitely give that one a try because it really, to me, is more effective and produces better results than many of my over $100 moisturizers that I've tried. And let me tell you, I've tried everything from every brand. I don't want to say everything, but I've tried thousands of skincare products over the years. And this is one that I always have on hand. So let's talk about even thicker occlusives as far as locking in moisture. I've talked about this product so many times on my channel, and this is the Avène Cyclophate Plus. This is a restorative cream. It is very, very thick, like a diaper cream. It is great if the skin is really needing that extra layer of occlusiveness to lock in moisture. It's really great after microneedling treatments or mesotherapy or laser treatments or any kind of dermatological type of treatment. It is great even as a thick night cream. Sometimes if my skin just needs that extra occlusive layer, if the weather is dry and cold, I'll make sure my skin is really hydrated with a nice essence. I'll do the rest of my skincare routine, including other serums, maybe my tretinoin, and then I will lock everything in with this. So this is kind of my big guns when I really need that extra occlusive layer. Another occlusive layer, and I think everybody should keep this in their bathroom, is Aquaphor. I use it almost every day for my lips, but it is also great to do slugging with. So if your skin, you need to trap in that hydration, if your skin is feeling like it needs that little extra occlusive layer, Aquaphor is another great product. I personally tend to lean more towards the Cyclophate Plus than the Aquaphor, but the other day I had done some dermaplaning and a few spots in my face were a little sensitive after the dermaplaning. So I ended up using this. I kind of just splashed my face with water, went over it with a hydrating toner, and then added the Aquaphor, slugged a nice layer over those areas that it was kind of a little sensitive. And by the next morning, my face felt great. So these are just some examples of so many products that are hydrating and are moisturizing, but these are some of my favorites that I order over and over and that I always keep on hand. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you always remember that toners, essences, and sprays, along with sheet masks, play a really important role in a skincare routine. And for those that have dry skin and go right to your moisturizers, remember that getting the skin damp and hydrated especially with good ingredients like hyaluronic acid, aloe vera, beta glucan, glycerin. These are all products that will help the hydration, and then we will seal it in with a nice moisturizer. So, especially being over 40, as we get to those age, as we get older, we start to struggle a bit more with the skin feeling dry or showing texture, fine lines, wrinkles, and crepiness. It becomes even more important to focus on hydration and then moisturization. Another way to achieve the hydration in the skin, or supplemental way, is to make sure we're hydrated within our body. So, drinking lots of water, avoiding alcohol and dehydrating types of drinks is important. The more hydrated we are internally, that all shows on our skin. So another way to just boost the skin plumpness and hydration is to stay hydrated. If you've tried any of these products that I have mentioned, the Avene Cyclophyte is one I highly recommend for most people, especially if you do microneedling treatments or mesotherapy treatments, or if you ever do lasers, or if you just need a really good occlusive cream in colder climates. After a chemical peel, this is great to have on hand. The Aquaphor, great on the lips, but great for slugging and just treating areas that may be a little more sensitive. Remember, we're locking in all of that moisture and we're just maintaining the skin's moisture barrier. So this mask, of course, the Nambuzin mask, I always have this on hand. It's such a great mask. And if you haven't tried, I mentioned this toner or essence, but I really do like the Beauty of Joseon or Joseon. It's another Korean brand. Good price point, excellent products, but this ginseng essence is phenomenal. So this is another one that I have had. I've reordered it many times. I currently don't have it. I'm using the Belief right now, but it's a great product. In fact, so many of the Beauty by Joseon products are just fantastic. So if you ever get a chance to try those, that would be a great one. And this, I think this little mist is only $12, and it's been a lifesaver for me. It's affordable. It's by Laneige. Laneige, I also believe, is a Korean brand. And it's just so nice because you get that hydration because it's a wet mist. But there's ceramides, peptides, and then, of course, lock it in with a great moisturizer. And for me, this one's a no-brainer, the Cos RX. And again, this is the hyaluronic acid intensive cream. So thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I'm going to try to be on lives more in the evening and hoping to connect with you guys and just share some of my beauty tips and tricks. And I think there's so many good products out there that are budget friendly, phenomenal ingredient profiles, and that do such a great job. And in some cases, a better job compared to their high-end counterparts. So you don't have to spend a lot to have beautiful skin and to have a great skincare routine. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you in my next video.